All right, guys. Dan Henderson versus Lyoto Machida. What you think about it, man?
I think I'm not sure how someone had Dan Henderson winning that fight. I don't think he landed enough significant strikes. I don't think he did enough damage. I was surprised to see him come out and immediately throw leg kicks. It makes sense against a guy like Machida when you need to slow him down with his in and out. So leg kicks made a lot of sense. But I didn't have Dan Henderson winning any rounds. He looked like a slow, old man. And that's exactly what he is. He's slow and he's old.
Well, this is the thing too. It's like when his H-bomb loading up that right hand to some degree has hurt him because it makes him more one-dimensional. It makes him more like a Rampage Jackson. Whereas when you saw...
But see, that was what the surprising part was, because he didn't come out throwing that thing. The first thing he did was throw 3 leg kicks, which I was like, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of steam on them. They weren't very crisp. Right. But I mean, I was like, wow, check that out. And he couldn't find Machida.
Do you think he was throwing these? I thought when looking at the fight, I thought, okay, you know what? Dan Henderson is throwing these leg kicks to keep Machida off balance, so he cannot get in and get out, get in and get out. Like he can disrupt him doing that and maybe hit him with that fucking right. Whereas I thought the only time during that fight, I thought, okay, now the tide can change and Henderson can do is when Henderson grabbed Machida and got him on the ground. Then I thought, okay, now Machida's out of his element. And I
how
thought,
long did that last?
It didn't last long at all. But you know what? I would have fucking, would you have kept doing that? At least taking Machida to the ground. That's when he cannot run.
But the problem is Dan Henderson couldn't find him. How many times did we see Dan Henderson throw a right, throw another punch, and he's literally like, he almost looked like, you know, when you find your little brother and you put your hand on his head and he's just swinging and he's nowhere near you. That's literally at times how I felt for Dan Henderson. It looked like a little brother chasing his big brother, trying to hit him, and he just couldn't. Now, a lot of people want to take points away from Machida because he's not being aggressive. But what you had there was a counter striker. That's why he kept feinting. He was trying to see what Dan Henderson's going to do. So he goes, all right, if I feint with my left, where's he going to go? Because this time I'm going to feint with my left and throw my next strike where I think he's going to be. And it just, Dan Henderson wasn't biting. Dan Henderson was the fucking, it was, honestly, in my opinion, that was the worst fight of the night.
It really was. And this,
on the main card. Now, I didn't get to see the Brendan Schuab debauchery. I didn't get to see that. So, but for me, on the main card, the Henderson-Machida fight was the worst. And me personally, I don't want to see Machida fight John Jones again. I'll take the stops.
No, I don't want to see that either. And like you said, man, Machida fights elusive. You got to have a game plan for that because basically you're fighting Night Stalker from the fucking X-Men. That motherfucker's on your right, he's on your left, he's on back. You know, the only thing Machida doesn't have that Night Stalker has is that fucked up blue tail with the fucking horn tail at the end of it or whatever the fuck it is. But I will say this, since you talked about the Lavar Johnson, Brendan Schuab fight, I'll roll into that really quick. And I tell you, you did not miss much.
From what I read and what I heard, it sounds like Brendan Schuab should just straight up get fired.
He basically took Lavar Johnson down because he respected his power. He took him down and did absolutely nothing. I don't know what was more painful to watch was the fact that Brendan Schuab did nothing when he controlled the fight on the ground for probably 3/4 of the fight, or the fact that Lavar Johnson was not, his inability to get up and get back on its feet. Even the ref stepped in a couple times, George, and was like, look, I'm gonna help you out, Lavar. I'm gonna put this fight back up on his feet. All you gotta do is knock him out, okay? The moment they got up, Brendan Schuab was like, fuck that, rushed and took him back down to the ground. The
other bullshit I heard is Brendan Schuab couldn't pass the guy's guard. You got a guy on the ground who has basically no ground game, and you can't get past his guard. If I'm Dana White, I walk right up to him like it's been fun. Good luck, and I'm letting him go. I'll keep Lavar Johnson. Dana said he was impressed with the Strikeforce fighters and their hungriness to fight. Well, did you ever watch Strikeforce? That's how they fought there. They fought like their paycheck was on the line, like they had something to prove every fucking time. And I think Dana's starting to see why people thought that brand was exciting. And I think with Dana sitting here getting ready to cut up to 100 fighters this year, you better not fight like Brendan Schuab just did.
You got to go out there and fight, man. You got to fight like people like Chris Lieb and people that go out there and say, you know what, that's why he has a job. You
exactly.
That's like Clay Guida. If you thought about Clay Guida, he went through a spell where he was not doing too hot. But you know what? He always brought the steam. He always brought his fucking engine. And you know what? It gave him, he was treading water the whole time. Yeah, it's called job security. He's like, you know what? I'm going to put on a fucking show because ultimately this is entertainment. And all you MMA enthusiasts out there that can bash us and say, oh, you know, you don't got, it's entertainment. You know, that's why you pay for a pay-per-view and Dana White sells tickets. People are coming to be entertained.
And one other fight you want to touch on real quick. Courtney McGee beat Josh Neer 30-27. I saw the fight that way. Josh Neer was, trying to bait Courtney McGee into getting out of his game and maybe throwing a couple more strikes or putting himself in a bad situation. Yeah. I was glad to see Courtney McGee get off quick. Get started fast, get his hands moving quick. His accuracy with his 1s and 2s was insane. I don't know if it's because Josh Neer has a broken neck and he literally looked like he was fighting with a collar on because his head didn't move anywhere.
He had Court McGee from the start of the fight had so much more energy. He was throwing punches and bunches. He kept moving. He never was a target. And you could see that Josh Neer was trying to lure him in to counter him, but just Court McGee was in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And the only time that you thought Josh Neer might have done something was in that second round. And you know what? He really didn't have it in my opinion.
I don't know where this puts Court McGee in the 170 class. I don't know who he's going to fight next.
Right.
But it's interesting. I think if he rattles off another win or two, get him against the top 8 guy and see how he does.
Right.
Now where do you think Machida? Now Machida is supposedly going to have a title shot.
Machida, I don't fucking know. I mean, I really don't. I mean, I don't want to see him fight John Jones again. It's repetitive bullshit,
Now let me ask you this: if Gustafsson comes out and dispatches Gegard Mousasi, do you just go, you know what, Machida? Since you turned down that last title fight we tried to give you on short notice, we're going to go ahead and let somebody new come in.
I would like Gustafsson go in and get it because I think the fans want to see a fight that they've not already seen.
Right.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you guys think in the comment board. Who do you think John Jones' next opponent should be if and when he gets past Chael Sonnen?